All right, everybody, we got 3 quick email tips from the boss. Number one,
don't tell me not to print out this email. If I want to print it out, I'm going to print it out. And when's the last time you printed out an email anyway? Does anybody still do that?
Number 2.
Don't thank me in advance for something that I haven't done for you yet. Thank me when I'm finished because I didn't actually agree to do it yet.
And number 3.
Don't invite me for the final time. Don't invite me to your LinkedIn network. I'll see you at lunch tomorrow.
Let's start the episode. Hey, podcast listener, even if you are alone in your entrepreneurial pursuit, know that today, right now in your earbuds, you are joined by thousands of entrepreneurs all around the globe seeking to do the same thing you are. If you want to know more about this program or this podcast, or want to get barraged by a lot of annoying pop-ups, check out our website, lifestylebusinesspodcast.com. Yeah, buddy, everybody, it's Thursday morning. That means it's time for another Lifestyle Business Podcast. Today I'm joined by my comrade, my co-hostess with the mostest. And hey, everybody, it's no coincidence that Who's the Boss was canceled the year he was born. Welcome to the program, Ian. How has Vietnam been treating you?
Vietnam has been awesome, man. I've been here for 2 weeks and I've been loving it. Vietnam, it has so much to offer. I started up in the north and I'm working my way down to the south where I will see you in Saigon tomorrow.
Very cool. We got a phone call from Jesse. You want to listen to it?
Absolutely.
Hey Dan, this is Jesse. I just wanted to thank you for the Lifestyle Business Podcast and let you know that you and Ian really are rocking it. You guys have your own style. You guys got original content, original styles. You guys really got it together. I appreciate it.
Hey Jesse, man, I appreciate it. If you guys want to leave us a message that really warms our heart to hear that kind of stuff, you can go to lifestylebusinesspodcast.com. Click the record button on this post and you can leave us a message too. By the way, Ian, some people have been emailing me saying that they've missed the information about our Tropical MBA stuff, or they missed the information about the event. If you never want to miss anything, you got to get on our mailing list. That's the only way you can be sure to hear about this stuff. So you can find that at lifestylebusinesspodcast.com, and we promise to send you some cool stuff, including our first 50 episodes if you sign up. Ian's on the list. He loves it. It's not that annoying, right?
No, actually I'm not on the list, but I imagine it's not that annoying.
What is it going to take to get you on the list, man? How many times do I got to bring it up to get you on the list?
All right, I'll sign up.
I'll send you good stuff, man. I'm going to send you the first 50 episodes.
All right. Initially, I put my spam email address in there, but maybe I'll put my real one in.
Joseph sent us an email, including his photo for our Who Wear section. Love to see that, Joseph. Thanks for all the support you've given us over the last few years here at the LBP. I actually met Joseph in New York City. Are you going to be in New York City in September as well, Ian?
Oh, you're trying to convince me, so it might work. I do love New York City.
A little bit of public social pressure. Nick wrote us an email and said, hey guys, another thing I'd like to hear about is how you guys analyze markets. For example, how do you decide to sell cat products, man? Was it the market size, the product idea, or was it something about that customer base? Thanks guys, and I'll see you Thursday. Well, Nick, let's turn that into a little bit of meat and potatoes. This one's called The Importance of Niche Flexibility and the Teacher Trap. All right, Ian, I want to talk about niche selection because it's something that we do all the time. A lot of people think, all right, we're going to decide on a niche and, it's going to be our horse and we're going to make it or break it off of this thing. But in reality, man, we've probably done, 10 to 20 niches in the last 5 years?
It's ridiculous. And we've probably talked about 50 of them. So we're in no way married to any of the niches that we conceive over a couple of years.
Right, and so there's that issue, which is like, there's more of like an attitude or an approach to niche selection that matters more than, I got this genius idea and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that I think a lot of people misunderstand what makes a successful selection because, part of it, Ian, is just luck. And, we were talking a little bit, a lot of people think, and maybe you guys are successful because you just got lucky, with that particular product line. And the truth is that we did. And so we're going to try to pull out some of those things that we're seeing, and hopefully they can help guide you in your attitude and approach to niche selection. How many points do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. All right, so let's get started with number 1. Get off of the mediocre niches, man. Get off of the mediocre niches. This is one that's tough, right? Because what we've found is that, Ian, in our product business, for example, we got like 5 or 6 active niches right now. Some mediocre, some baller, some dead, right?
Yep.
And the interesting thing when you look at this is, as entrepreneurs, we often believe in ourselves so much, right? Like, I can just do it, man. Like, give me a task and I'm going to crush it, right? But the thing about this is interesting is that in all of the 6 or 7 niches that we're in, we're the same company. We're the same people. But some are paying the bills and some are just a thorn in our side.
Yeah, that's right. So we basically have the same process for all the different niches that we're involved in. We design and we manufacture and we market. And like you said, in some niches we're successful and others we're not. And so what's the reason behind that?
Well, we're not that good at identifying, and we just actually had to turn off the podcast to have like a 30-minute argument about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to know. I mean, part of it is that we found that for our niches, especially as a small player, we're not that good at like huge marketing stuff. Maybe B2B is one of the secrets. Like we do a little bit better when we're selling to other businesses because it's cheaper to find customers. We found that less developed marketplaces, so marketplaces that are sort of on the fringe, we're doing a little bit better in because they're not so established. And we can get more profitability going on. We can provide more unique value. We don't have so much competition. Another thing is and sometimes it's very difficult to know this because the information isn't always clear. Growth markets. Obviously, a lot of the niches that we kind of stumbled into, they happen to be blowing up, and we just didn't know that. It's just a matter of getting in the game and be willing to, go around and do a bunch of different niches and not to be married to one niche. And I guess maybe a lesson for the audience is don't always blame yourself. Be careful about blaming yourself. You might just be in a mediocre niche, and you might need to take your process, take the way that you create value, and go put that into another niche and see how it plays there.
Yeah, one of the things that we've learned recently is we started this company, this portable bar company, and we took a lot of cues from another niche that we're in because the customers look very much the same. The way that you sell the customers looks the same. The way that you manufacture the products looks the same. The expos, everything looks very much the same. And we were successful in the first niche, so we kind of transferred that into a second niche, and we're starting to get some traction with the portable bars. And so I wouldn't call the portable bars as much luck as I would calling on experience. So we picked a niche that we knew we could be successful in because we were successful in it before.
There we go. All right, the number 2 point we got here, Ian, is internal value versus external value. One of the things I'm seeing amongst people just getting started out versus people that are successful and been in the game for a while is that the people that are really successful with this kind of thing, they're really good at focusing on external value. What's valuable to the marketplace? Whereas people getting started, they're always thinking about, what am I passionate about? What do I really care about? What do I really want to do in terms of a topic, right?
Yep.
And what I want to say about that is sort of getting to be involved in the topic that you really love. It's a luxury item. It's kind of like buying a Lexus while you're working at a restaurant, It's like you can do it, you can rock that, but you make life a little bit harder on yourself,
Right, and you're probably gonna have 4 different mismatched tires on it too eventually. Be my guess.
I want to point, I think the AdSense flippers, Ian, are guys that are really good at this because those guys are one of the reasons that we get along so well with them is I see those guys as true blooded entrepreneurs. They could do anything well. And that's because they're always thinking about their customers. They're thinking about what's good for their marketplace, how they can move their market forward. They're not always sitting around and thinking, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to do? So there's, you got to do both. There's a marriage there, that you got to make. But fundamentally, the best way to get traction in a new niche is to care more about the niche than you care about yourself.
That's right.
All right. Number 3, find a niche that's, so this is a response to that point is, you want to look for work that's a calling, not a niche that's a calling. And I think.
What do you mean by that?
All right, so a great example is blogging, right? And when I talk to people, so blogging is basically being an online publisher, whether you want to be a podcaster, you want to write stuff, or whether you want to make videos or going around do journalism, do connect people, do interviews, whatever that is, right? I don't really understand people who are Ian, to be honest, when I wrote the Outsource to the Philippines blog, I enjoyed that, every bit as much as I could enjoy any other blog, right? As long as it's in, general kind of space that I'm interested in.
Right.
And what a lot of people say is they basically say, well, if I can't blog about this, then I don't care. If I can't blog about wake up in the morning and write about whatever comes off the top of my head, then I don't care. And what I would say to them is like, what you have not found work that's a calling. Because for me, like I want to be creative and create content, whether that's outsourcing, whether that's offshoring, whether that's taxes. I would write a taxes blog tomorrow. I would start calling up cool tax people, get guys like David McKeegan on the program, do interviews, travel around, do journalism, whatever that is. Because I feel like publishing is work that's a calling for me. And that's a better strategy than finding topics that are a calling. Your thoughts?
Yeah. And I think this is the same in the manufacturing side of our business. And I get asked this a lot. Somebody at the last Tropical MBA asked me this, actually. They said, so like you're really passionate about portable bars? And I said, well, yeah, I am passionate about portable bars, but what I'm more passionate about is the process of design and manufacturing and entrepreneurship and running a business and all those other things. But it's that calling for the work that I'm passionate about. Portable bars are cool and I can get into it and I can sell them and I can make the best ones in the world, but I'm really passionate about that process.
Oh, and you do. And you do. And that's because of our fourth point, which is understanding the distinction between interests and skills. Man, you're famous for your skills. You're famous on the blogosphere for your skills. Tell us about the difference between interests and skills.
So one thing I know for sure, because I've looked through your internet history, is you love to watch YouTube videos about planes in flight.
True.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But so anyways, there's a difference between interest and skills, right? So you're really interested in flying planes or at least watching plane crashes, things like this. Yeah. But you don't necessarily possess the skills it takes to fly a 737 yet. I know that's on your list.
Sure as hell I could crash one though, buddy.
That's right.
But the key thing here is, if I want to start a blog or a content business around airplanes, the skill there would not be my interest in airplanes. The skill there would be, what it takes to be a successful online publisher or a publisher in general. And, that's not going to happen through watching more YouTube videos about airplanes. That's going to happen through apprenticing or working directly with other successful publishers and understanding what that skill set requires. So, the real difference between interest and skills is people don't pay for interest, man. They pay for skills. And we're talking about entrepreneurship here. And I think sometimes people, they just undervalue skills. They forget to ask themselves, am I bringing anything unique or valuable to the table here in terms of a skill set?
Right, so there's two kinds of people that would be successful, like you said, at that kind of site. It would either be your buddy Captain Lim, who's a professional pilot and writes about flying, or it would be a professional publisher, not necessarily an expert in flight, though.
Well, and the key thing about Lim there that you got to understand is that he doesn't need to have the online publishing skills because he's going to make his money flying the planes, man. And so he can afford to put up that kind of site. And he's going to get the sort of extra benefits of that. But one of the things we were talking about is Captain Lim's not going to start busting out $100,000 years off of that website. But he doesn't need to because he's flying the plane, man. I'd fly the plane for free. See, I'd do the opposite.
You would.
I'd put up the website and fly the plane for free. All right, point number 5, let's talk about the teacher trap. This is related. And the teacher trap is something all kinds of people online are getting stuck in, Ian. And I'm feeling sorry for people getting stuck in the teacher trap because here's what happens. It seems apparent on the surface when you get involved in the internet at the beginning that it doesn't require a lot of skills. We were just talking about skills to teach people to do stuff online. So everybody just starts teaching right out of the gate. That's what they do. It's like, hey, man, I hardly got to do anything. I just got to learn WordPress and start teaching people. And what they think they're doing is that they're saving time by skipping learning a hard skill. Like, well, I could help people in the same way by developing a piece of software, but software is hard. So I'm going to just start teaching vis-a-vis blog posts or whatever.
Right.
But what's ended up happening is that either way, they're wasting just as much time because it's going to be a year until they realize that they're not going to be able to make money off of the whole teacher thing. because they don't have any hard skills that people are at the end of the day willing to pay for. They might even have an audience, right? But they're not going to be able to monetize it. So it's like, it turns out that had they just spent that year developing software, at the end of it, they'd have a real hard skill that they can charge for. But instead, they spent the whole year because they thought they wouldn't be wasting their time, right? I'll get immediate traction or whatever. And it turns out that no, they're in the teacher trap.
That's right.
And
in the teacher trap.
We've talked about this quite a bit. Finally, and this is something. This is the maybe the reason that happens. And this is our 6th point. Is I want to encourage you to look behind to find the real reasons that people are successful online, not the ones that they tell you about. The reason that Ian and I are successful online isn't because we put up a WordPress site or whatever, started teaching people. That's not necessarily the case, or like that's correlated with our success, but that's not the cause of our success. And I think that that's important when you're listening to online coaches and stuff, because that'll send you right to the teacher trap, right? We want to be careful about that. One of the things that when you look at a lot of online coaches, trainers, gurus, internet marketers, whatever, is that they have a track record. And this is so important. Even if they're not flaunting it every day and putting it in front of your face or whatever, this can be a critical sort of silent motivator to their success, because it's the very thing that allows them to network with other people, for example, behind the scenes.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that have track records too, you wouldn't know that they have a track record, so they just kind of show up on the scene and they know all this information and stuff like that, and you just figure, wow, these guys are really smart. They just must have came up to speed super quick. No, wrong answer. They've been on the block for 10 years in a different niche, transition. Now they're in your niche, and they're going to crush you.
Another thing about it is you want to look at the unique timing that people have in niches. Timing is such a critical thing in niches. A lot of the case studies that you see out there, I'm sure you can notice, they just wouldn't work if you try to duplicate them. And I think what this, comes back to is, having the skills and not getting attached to those niches, right? Because, most of the niches that you select are not going to work out. That's just how this stuff goes down. Because this whole issue of unique timing, well, how do you figure out, Dan, whether, I'm going to launch my ebook into this niche and it's going to be successful? Well, you don't know. You can do keyword research until your freaking nose bleeds. You're just not going to know until you start putting yourself into a bunch of niches. And when you start doing that and having that attitude, that is the attitude that's going to allow you to start to see these unique timings. Like Ian was saying, now all of a sudden we have this super proprietary niche selection process that's unique to our capabilities, who we are as people. We can't come and share that if we try to lay it out on the podcast, first off, we wouldn't even be able to articulate it, right? We know it when we see it now. And that's a unique experience. We take advantage of unique timing. And that's just about getting in the game and not being attached to these topics or particular products. The next thing is watch people. Don't always listen. Sometimes when you listen, it's too late. And I know we're negating ourselves here a little bit, but we want to try to inspire you to get in the game. If you listen to what I'm saying about how I selected a cat furniture niche, maybe that the real value of that advice is going to be to inspire you that, hey, this guy's an idiot. I can do better than him. I'm going to just do something. I'm going to go out there and get in the game with the right attitude. I'm not going to be thinking about myself, me. I'm going to be thinking about the marketplace, what I can do, how I can articulate an amazing product that's going to have a unique value, and how I'm going to crush it.
That's right.
That's it.
I love it. I love it when you talk about, doing something for the marketplace instead of doing something for yourself. I think that's a really good way to start and to run your business.
And that's the hustle, man. If you go do that for long enough, you can come back and you can buy 2 or 3 Lexuses. That's right. It's the difference between driving a Lexus with 4 different tires on it and a payment versus having 3 of them and dropping off one to mom's. That's what I'm talking about, and that's serving the marketplace.
That's right.
Let's get moving on to just the tips. All right, Ian. I got a quick tip. I noticed on Twitter last week that Derek Johansson, who's one of my favorite online personalities, member of the DC as well, I'm proud to say, he tweeted to you that your billable hours were worth like $1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, basically, this guy, he owes us like $2,000 and he ran away with our products. And so I was like hunting them down. I spent like an hour. Well, mainly because this is a hobby of mine. But I spent an hour hunting them down online, finding out where his kids go to school and whatnot.
A vigilante. You got some great tips for that. Actually, let's do an episode. Let's publicly commit to doing an episode about your espionage tactics, because we've done that in the past, like back in the 50s episodes or whatever.
Right.
And you are doing some CIA stuff nowadays. I mean, it's legit. So we'll do a little bit of that. Anyway, we want to encourage you in just the tip section to know your number. And the way that you can know your number, and this isn't anything sexual, although it could be, is take the number 2080. All right. So take your annual income and divide it by 2080. And that's what, if you were to sort of turn your annual income into billable hours, that's what you're worth at an hourly rate. And I think this is sort of a useful, fun figure, because I was like looking at that number. I was like, Ian's not worth $1,800 an hour. And so I did the math, and it was interesting because then I got your number. And now I'm thinking, all right, well, this is sort of fascinating, sort of to think about when you start to take on a task. Like, should I really be doing this right now? You know, I last year I was capable of generating this amount of income per hour. Maybe I should start acting like it. Maybe I should start hiring people a little bit more aggressively. So I think that's an interesting number. So that's 2080.
Now, what if you subscribe to the 4-hour work week like me?
And what does that mean?
It means that I only work 4 hours a week, right? I mean, that's the book title, right?
Well, then maybe you are worth $1,800 an hour, buddy. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us on the LBP. It's always a pleasure. And speaking of settling on things like working on
Yes. So the reason I said it would take me 8 weeks to earn $1,000 to $2,000 a month is because I got skills, baby.